Good evening, friends. Hope you all are doing good. So, today we are going to start with the third chapter about water resources. So, as we know, water is one of the most important resources in the world. Why it is most important resources? Because without water we cannot survive. Our body has 70% of the water. Okay, so you can understand how much important it is for how much important it is to conserve the water or to utilize it generously. So, let us understand these water resources and how they are conserved since ancient time and what we are doing in the modern times and what are the various issues behind the water resources. Let us understand them one by one. So, friends, when we are talking about water resources, there is always need of water everywhere in the world. So similarly, in India, we also have a huge need because we have a huge population. Before independence, pre-independence India, our resources has been damaged a lot because of the colonial policies. The type of vegetation they have introduced, the type of industries they have started, it robbed us with all types of resources, including the water resources. So, pre independence India, the seed of exploitation of water resources have been sown by the Britishers. Then they started the industries. Then after independence, as we know, entire world was moving towards industrialization. So we also needed to move towards the industrialization. At that time, population was very small, less than 50 crore. So at that time, whatever water resources we had, we thought they are more than enough. That time, rivers were not polluted, wells were there, good rainfall was there. So we thought we have very good water resources. So we started building dams. We started building more and more industries. We started building more and more heavy industries. So it started with the industries and building dams, and it continued till date with intensive industrialization. So it resulted in a intensive utilization of water and decrease in the water resources. So intensive industrialization, urbanization. So in the urbanization followed the industrialization because for industries people are required. So many people migrated from villages to urban areas, and that resulted into the creation of huge cities like Mumbai, Delhi, Calcutta, Chennai, and further exploitation of water resources started. So industries, they are not just utilizing the water for the production purpose, they are also utilizing the water for other purposes. So one of the important purpose is a power generation. So almost 20 to 25% of the India's power come from the water, or that is hydroelectric power. So water is not just utilized for the production process but also for the production of power. Urban areas, as we have seen, so once industries are coming up, along with that hydroelectric power is coming up, along with that urban areas are coming up. When urban areas are coming up, their lifestyle is different, luxurious lifestyle. Getting it? There is no effort for the conservation, so there is only intake of water. There is no conservation of water. So urban areas aggravated the water problem. Slums aggravated the water problem. Buildings, apartments aggravated the water problem. Getting it? So these are one of the important reasons why we are facing the water shortage nowadays. So when we are talking water shortage, so is ancient India also deficient of water? Because if you see, ancient India we have seen very much structure for the water conservation. So what these people did for the conservation of water? So if you see certain example, starting from before the birth of Jesus Christ, first century BC, Seringipura, Sringaveripura, here near Allahabad, here we have found a very good sophisticated water harvesting system. Getting it? So what they were doing, they were channeling the flood water into the Ganga. Getting it? Also, they were harvesting that flood water for the utilization of households. So this is very important thing. Okay. So Sringaverapura is very, very important. Water harvesting system was very prominent in the Chandragupta Maurya period. As we know, Arthashastra written by the Chanakya, and he read this uh, gem called Chandragupta Maurya. So Chandragupta Maurya not only was a very good warrior, he was also very good administrator. So he built lots of dams, he built lakes, he built irrigation system in case of India. Also, if you see South India, like we have Kalinga, we have Chola, we have Pandyas, we have Kakatiyas. Even in Maharashtra, near Kolhapur, there were some ancient dynasties, Rashtrakutas, and so many were there. Okay, so here we found sophisticated irrigation system in these places in the excavation. Just after 10th century, Bhopal Lake was created. So, just we can say before the even arrival of Mughal and Turkish emperors, these Bhopal Lake was formed. Then, in 14th century, okay, 14th century House Khas is a very famous tank in Delhi. If you go, it is one of the very important and famous ancient structure in Delhi. So Hauj Khas was erected in 14th century by Iltutmish near. So this Hauj Khas used to provide water to the Siri fort area. Getting it? So in this way, these in ancient India, these structures were very very important for the supply of water. This information that we have seen is very much important for your prelim point of view. It is also important from our mains point of view. They may ask you, what are the important characteristics of ancient water harvesting systems? Even you can use it for writing your essays. So very, very important from pre-mains and essay point of view. Now, after independence, we started building big dams. We started building multi-purpose projects. So Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru called these dams as temples of modern India. So he said now temples are now ancient time we had temples. Now these temples were the center of economic activities and well-being of the people. But nowadays, because of the colonial era and its impact and rampant poverty, the temples of modern India are nothing but dam. Why? Because water from the dam is going to irrigate your farms. Water from the dam is going to utilize would be utilized for your industries for drinking purpose. So that's why he called them as a temples of the modern India. So now we are not just calling them as a dams, we are calling them as a multi-purpose projects. Because dams means just you are utilizing the water for irrigation purpose or drinking purpose. But multi-purpose project means not just irrigation and drinking purpose, but you are going to generate the electricity. Okay, you are going to start the industries. You are going to control the flood. You are going to use it for recreation, like garden, making the garden along the riverside, making lakes along the riverside. Then for inland navigation, you can make canals using the dams. Okay, and fish breeding. Dams can be one of the important sites for the fish breeding. So that's why they are called as a multi-purpose projects. If you see DVC or Damodar Valley Corporation, it is using all these characteristics. All these points have been used for the construction of the Damodar Valley Corporation and Damodar Valley project. Okay, they have utilizing this project for all the purposes that we have seen over here. Getting it? So they are not just called as a dam; they are called as a multi-purpose projects. So from the time of independence, we built big dams like Bhakra Nangal dams. So they are multi-purpose projects. It generated electricity in Punjab, Haryana. It gave the irrigation. It controlled the flood. It is utilized as a navigation for navigational purpose on the Satluj River. Satluj Jamuna link is under the thought process of the government. So these multi-purpose river projects were the most important thing in India after independence. But what happened later? Later, these multi-purpose projects started coming under the scanner of the people. Why? Because the more advantages as they were thought, they come out to be the disadvantages as well. And later, it is found that disadvantages are overpowering the advantages of these multi-purpose projects. So whatever advantages that we have seen over here, Now they are not fulfilling those advantages. They are not fulfilling the criteria. Even they are doing opposite of that. Except few benefits, they are what they are doing. They are doing opposite of that. So what are the negative effects of these multi-purpose projects? First is environmental harm. So we thought they will be very good fish, the very good ground for the fishing. But it is found that as you are storing huge amount of water over here and you are not letting the water go into the river, so what is happening? Water in the river is decreasing. So river bed is full of rocks. River bed is becoming rocky. It is not becoming sandy. River bed should be sandy, but it is becoming rocky because there is no silt. This dam started silting. It started accumulating all the silt over here. So silt is not flowing over here. So there is no formation of sand. So river beds are becoming rocky. Dams started becoming silty. So dam started becoming silty, and it led to the flooding. During flood, what started happening? Because of the silting of the dam, the volume of the dam decreased, and this water started spilling over. Getting it? River beds are becoming rocky. Water is not flowing into the river. So what is happening? The organisms living over here, plants, animals, fishes, they didn't have water. So their biodiversity started decreasing. River started polluting. So when there is no flow in the river, industries started sending their water into the river. So artificial flow started happening. There is no natural water in the river. All dirty water started coming into the river. And you felt that, oh, river is full of water. So it led to the pollution of the river. So aquatic life got a biggest harm because of the dam projects. Now, because of the silting, what happened? Floodplains. In the floodplain region, flood became more frequent. River water spilled out, and soil and vegetation, forest vegetation went under the dam projects, under the dam water. So what is happening? Fertile soil is under the water, forest is under the water, it is started rotting, it is started producing the methane gas, and it started one of the reason for the climate change. So methane production has started. Rotting of the forest started. Flora and fauna got destroyed. River became rocky. Okay, and sediment. So because sediment started accumulating, sometimes what happens to desediment or desilt? What does government do? They flood the huge amount of water from the dam. Along with that, desilting process take place. So sudden silt is started coming into the river suddenly. Getting it? So this is becoming very harmful to the environment. So these are the negative effect of multi-purpose project on the river beds and the river on the environment. Now let us understand what were the negative impact of this multi-purpose project on the people or social life. So everyone knows about Narmada Bachao Andolan. So Sardar Sarovar Dam on the Narmada River. This Narmada Bachao Andolan is running from last few decades. So what is happening over here? So because of these multi-purpose projects, here there is large scale displacement is happening. Displacement of the people living in the catchment area of the river. Also, biggest loss faced by the tribals. So it directly affected their livelihood. It directly affected their employment. It directly affected their living standards. Sometimes they were not rehabilitated properly. So tribals were thrown out of the forest. Villagers were thrown out of their villages. They did not get the proper compensation. They did not get the job. They lost their forest areas. They lost their farmlands. So they became unemployed. So poverty increased in among these people. So they sacrificed their everything in the national interest. Okay. So greatest good of the greatest numbers started happening over here. So local people and tribals were one of the biggest disadvantages under this multi-purpose projects. So One of the important benefit of this project was controlling the flood, but it is found that in some cases that big dams are responsible for the flood. Okay, because of the sedimentation, huge sedimentation, what is happening? Water started spilling over. Water started inundating into the surrounding area because volume of the dam decreased because of the silt, and it resulted into the more flood. So in 2006, flood came in Gujarat and Maharashtra due to the big dams. Getting it? So this project started failing. Then environmental damage we have seen. They started producing the methane gas. So large hydro projects are one of the biggest bane which has been seen from last few years. Okay, so many people are against these projects. So to come over this, so you can see over here how this flood is covering the huge area. So soil is under the water, forest area is under the water. Okay, so silt is, as we have seen alluvial plains. So alluvial sand is one of the sand which is result of the sedimentation flowing through the river. Now sediments are accumulated into the dams. Now this alluvial sand or fertile soil is not flowing into the riverbed. So there is no renewal of soil. There is no renewal of delta region. So what is happening over there? Natural fertilizer is being lost. So whatever sediments used to come, finer particles used to come, organic particles used to come along with the river flow, that is not there. So fertility of the soil started getting lost. So fertility of the soil is being lost, and that is one of the drawback of the multi-purpose projects, that farmers are at disadvantage. Getting it? Also we have seen that projects like Koyna, Radhanagri Dam, okay, in Maharashtra, a huge earthquake rocked Maharashtra in 60s called as a Killari earthquake. So they are saying that is because of the dam. So this is also one of the social side effects of the dam earthquake. Then as water is spilling out, what is happening? It is creating diseases in the surrounding area. Mosquitoes are breeding over there, malaria. Then over exploitation of water is causing the pollution. Getting it? So these are the drawbacks of the multi-purpose projects that have been observed in the different parts of the India. So let us understand certain disputed project. Certain disputed projects have been mentioned. So first is the Sardar Sarovar Dam, as I have told you. So Sardar Sarovar Dam has been inaugurated by the Prime Minister a few years back. So this is going to benefit Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat and Rajasthan. So Medha Patkar, everyone knows about Medha Patkar. So she stood from the sides of these villagers and tribals who lost their land, who did not get proper compensation, who lost their livelihood, as well as there is an environmental damage, there is a forest damage in that area. They stood for that. So almost Gujarat, 9,000 villages have been, this Sardar Sarovar project will benefit this. So benefits are more. Rajasthan 124 villages. So benefits are more for this because of this Sardar Sarovar projects. So this is one of the important projects, but it has a drawbacks as well. Now, since its height also have been increased, that's 2 years back. Okay, so these things were in the news. Second disputed project was a Krishna Godavari dispute. So Radhanagri projects on the Koyna or Koyna Dam, as we call it as. So the water of this Godavari river or its tributary has been diverted for this Koyna Dam project. So because of that, these Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka, they thought that they are going to get lesser water. So that's why there was a dispute. But mostly this dispute have been solved now. Okay. So they were the disputed rivers. Now, let us understand what ancient India, let us go to the ancient India again. So we have found that water harvesting, rooftop harvesting, rainwater harvesting is one of the important solution to these dams. Instead of centralized water storage in the form of dam, if we do the decentralized rainwater harvesting, it is more useful. So, to come over the drawbacks of this water harvesting system, rainwater harvesting is considered one of the important solution. So, what was the solution in the this solution was used in the ancient India in various ways. So, how they use this? So, they had very huge system for the rainwater harvesting all over the India. In northern India, in western India on the various forts of Shivajis, in the southern India, in the western India like drought prone region like Rajasthan, even currently the worst drought hit regions of Bundelkhand, they had these water harvesting system. It is said that almost we had 1250 kinds of various water harvesting system in ancient India. Currently, we have two or three water harvesting systems. You have dam, you have canals, you have rivers, you have lakes. But ancient time, we have almost 1250 ways of water harvesting. So let us understand this water harvesting system in India. So ancient people had in-depth knowledge of water harvesting system. They had in-depth knowledge of how much rainfall their region receives, how their rivers flow, in what months they flow, how much amount of water flow through this their rivers, when they flood, when drought comes. They had in-depth knowledge of all these things. Not only just the river water or surface water, they have in-depth knowledge of groundwater as well. They had different techniques, though they did not have a satellite like today, but they had different techniques to measure the levels of the groundwater. Getting it? So they devised the different rainwater harvesting systems. So let us understand these different systems in different parts of the India. So in Uttarakhand or in Himalayas, they had these gulls or kuls. So what used to happen when North Indian rivers used to flood? They made these gulls or kuls, type of very narrow channels from their rivers to their homes or their villages. So from rivers to their homes, from rivers to their home, this water used to come from these gulls or kuls in the western Himalaya. They used to use it for the agriculture purpose. In West Bengal, they had inundated canals. So you can see these inundated canals. So from Ganga, Hooghly, this type of rivers, they brought these inundated canals to their farms, their houses. So they irrigated their fields. Getting it? Similarly, there were local rainwater harvesting systems in the Rajasthan. So Himalaya was a water surplus region. Rajasthan is a water deficient region. So what they did? So they create the rain-fed storage in their houses, in their farms. So for example, in their farms, they build these khadins. You can see these khadins. So with the stone, they build this khadin. So this used to be catchment area. Water used to come like this and used to accumulate in these khadins. So in Rajasthan, they used to have these khadins or johards. So johards so the farms where the infertile farms or where farming cannot be done, they used to make these johards or khadin to store the waters. Also, people in their houses, they have created tanks or tankas. Where? In Bikaner, Barmer region. Jaisalmer region, they had these khadins and johards. In Barmer region, they had tanks or tankas to store the rainwater. So just below their houses, they used to have these big tanks. So on the rooftop, when the rain used to come, the water will go to the tankas or tank. Some people even built the room adjacent to their tankas underground. So what used to happen? Their rooms used to remain very cool in the summer times. So in this way, people beat the heat in the western part of the country or in the Rajasthan. So this is very important from your prelims point of view. In prelims, definitely this question is going to come today or tomorrow. You just wait for it. It's just a matter of time. This question is definitely going to hit either your mains or prelim examination. Now, water harvesting system in the Northeast India. Let us understand. Northeast India, almost 25% of the water comes from the rooftop water harvesting system. You can see this Meghalaya have this type of rooftop water harvesting system since ancient time. So you know, Northeast India gets the highest amount of water from the monsoon. So Shillong, Meghalaya, this region have this rooftop type of water harvesting system. Even in the Tamil Nadu, rooftop water harvesting is the compulsory. It is the first state which has made this rooftop harvesting system compulsory. Getting it? So this is one of the very important thing that we need to be seen. Now different states like Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, they are also trying to build this water harvesting system in their states. So northeastern India is very ahead in water harvesting in a different ways. Since ancient time, they are using this bamboo drip irrigation system in Meghalaya. Meghalaya is very famous for these bamboo root system. Even they have a bridges made up of tree roots. So the tree roots they converted them into the bridges. Tree barks they converted into the bridges. Okay. So this is 200-year old, at least 200-year old bamboo irrigation system which is there in the Meghalaya. So almost these bamboo holds 18 to 20 liters of water. In the end, 20 to 80 drops of water go to the farm. So it is like a drip irrigation, natural drip irrigation. 20 to 80 drops of water per minute, slowly coming and irrigating their farm. So in this way, this chapter is very important. In this way, water harvesting has been done in the ancient India. And in this way, what is happening in the modern India? So drawbacks are seen of multi-purpose projects, and slowly we are moving towards building small dams like check dams. We are moving towards more water harvesting by the local people. Like in Maharashtra, they have Jalayukta Shivar scheme. Means you convert your farm into the farm pond for the rainy season, like that, a part of your farm. So they are building many small ponds in the farmer's land. So slowly we are moving towards different types of water harvesting system. We are going to see in the agriculture chapter when in the class as well. Okay. So this is a chapter overall. Let us understand the MCQs based on this chapter. So first MCQ. Based on the information given below, classify each of the situation as suffering from the water scarcity or not. So 4 situations are given. Very simple. You see whether because of this situation, the particular region will be water sufficient or water scarce. Second question, which one of the following statements is not an argument in favor of multi-purpose river projects? Not an argument. Multi-purpose projects bring water to those areas which suffer from the water scarcity. It is for multi-purpose project by regulating the water flow helps control flood. For multi-purpose projects lead to the large-scale displacement and loss of livelihood. It is against. So C is the option. Here are some false statements. Identify the mistakes and rewrite them. So guys, just see these statements, and in the chapter, when you see the chapter, there are certain drawbacks in each and every statement. So what you have to do, you have to reform the particular statement by removing the false information or wrong information given in the statements. So this is the entire chapter, very important from pre and mains point of view. Very small chapter but very important. If you have any doubt, please let me know on the Telegram. Thank you. See you tomorrow for the next chapter, agriculture.